vendors, structural engineers, and all the people that have any and all information that they want to throw at this one common place, a library of knowledge. We currently have all the knowledge, believe it or not. You go online, you start searching farscape repair, farscape inspection, farscape seminar. We're the only ones, so we felt that there was a need to put an association together. And our intentions right now is to have all firefighters and all building inspectors have free membership into it. So as soon as we get it up all and running, the website is already up and already has some things, but it's under construction. But you can already start seeing a lot of stuff there that basically was our stuff that we said, we have to bring it over someplace where people can massage it and get it for free, and the National Farscape Association has it there. And you can watch videos, and you can, a lot of the information I'm about to give you is already online there, but if you need to put together a farscape awareness program for your city, we help you put it together. But in the future, for 2012, our choice is to do reform. This class that we taught here, we taught the same exact class in Portland, Oregon. Now, they took it one step further. They just changed their state code. Their state code is now going to reflect everything I'm about to tell you today, and it goes effective January 15th. So about 4 to 5 months ago, I gave my class, and this is already my third or fourth class I've given them over a 3-year period. So sometimes it is molasses, in the winter, rolling up a hill. But those are the options. You can just use a standard policy. You'll write it as a policy. So even when I send you my policy, you can copy and paste and put it in your standard Word documents that you guys use and just say, here's a policy that we copied from a national association as what should be the more or less standard, because I don't know anything about this stuff, so we're using this as a guideline. So that's what I'm about to send you. But these are just some of the tricks on how to start making it a checklist item. Okay? So let's talk about load testing. This class is going to be about guarantees, right? So this right here, it's an aged photograph, but it's one of the best photographs you have out there because it's calling, and I'm going to explain to you what a live load test is. This is a live load test. There are lives on it, and they're testing it, and we hope we get a good result. Because you know what the passing grade looks like, but what's a fail grade look like? Dead people on the ground with fire escape pieces on them. So I'm going to show you a ton of live load testing that didn't go so well as this one. And I'm going to explain live load testing to you today. But basically, let me see if we can get to when writing a violation, 75 years. I'll give you a little bit, very quick history of fire escapes. Fire escapes were started in the 1900s as an answer to these buildings that all had one set of stairs. Plenty of fires, plenty of people cooking and trying to heat their buildings, catching on fire. A lot of times the main stair catches on fire. Guess what these people have to do in order to get out? Jump out. Guess what they were caught in? These round donuts that these guys said, jump, come on down. That was the fire escape plan. You basically would jump down into one of these things because there was no fire escape. So then they said, let's build fire escape. So in the 1880s through the 1930s, they built nothing but fire escapes. From Washington, D.C., any coast, any industrial city, they did nothing but build fire escapes on pre-existing structures. And they had the stairs in the front, you put a fire escape in the back. Nobody was maintaining it, nobody was doing anything, and they started saying, you know what, this is the foolish thing. So in 1930, when the Uniform Building Code started swapping around into other things, they said, you know what, from now on, all interior staircases from now, 2 means of egress. Put them inside, none of this outside stuff. And if you have elevators, I want an elevator, and still 2 means of egress on the inside. There's your current code. So today, you hear this word that comes out, no new fire escape. You are 100% correct. No new fire escapes can be built on new construction. But if you have an existing structure, I can build fire escapes till the cows come home. And why is that? Because you get into a mansion, you get into a building where they have a central stair, the only answer, they can't gut this building without tearing it down. And it's protected by historical or hysterical, depending which way you call it. And the only means to get a second means of egress is a fire escape. And you deny them, they will get it. Because you are misquoting the code. The code says no new construction can have fire escapes on it, but all that pre-existing, I got a mansion and I'm going to make 4 condos out of it, I'm going to answer the means of egress with a fire escape. Because that's what the code says. Unless you have some special code that specifically prohibits, and okay, then you've got this thing that you sort of, and that happens every now and then. I got, the code says you can, but then all of a sudden said, no, we went specifically to write a code that says you can, just so people stop chopping up these mansions. You know what I'm saying? So that has happened, but on average, fire escapes are still here to answer any pre-existing structure, get their fire escape, okay? So that load test is what we're gonna be talking about right now. That's a 3x5 platform, okay? 100 pounds per square foot is the average for a fire escape. It's overbuilt. 3 times 5 is 15 square feet, times 100 pounds per square feet, that's 1,500 pounds. I'm gonna load test it for you. Every platform, every tread on this fire escape has to be load tested for 30 minutes, and I'll show you load testing in a second. And I gotta take sand, lead, water, whatever I can find that weighs 1,500 pounds besides humans, and I gotta put the load on there, and I gotta watch it for 30 minutes. I gotta load 40% immediately, take measurements, minimal deflection. It can't deflect more than 3/16 of an inch. Look at that. And that is to test the connections into the wall. I take my measurement. Then after 10 minutes of 40% of my load, I put the full load on and I sit there and watch. You guys know what a pass grade looks like, right? What's the fail grade look like with all my water and all my sand on there? So there's the first problem. You know how many, I'm 50 years old. 51 actually, my birthday was just January 7th. Thank you for not sending the cards. But I've been hijacked into this business since my dad hijacked me at 10 years old. In 40 years, you know how many fire escape load tests I've ever done? In California. And not because you guys ordered me, because the owner of the 10-story building said, I want a load test, I want a load test, I want a load test. So we did one. It's not something that's done very, very often because the result of a fail is horrific. But you guys want some guarantees, right? You want guarantees for the tenants, and you want guarantees for your firemen, right? So let me tell you, when I load tested, and let's see, I'm gonna go into the guarantee in a second. So 3x5, each fireman weighs 150 pounds plus minus, plus 100 pounds of gear, he's at 250, right? 10 firemen will bring me, how many pounds at 250? 2,500 pounds? Can I get 10 firemen in the middle, on that fire escape? Can I get 5 firemen in a 3x5 square with all their gear on? That's 1,250 pounds, and this thing will take 1,500. So I can't even get 5 firemen into that box. The average person is $150. Can I get 10 150 pound people in a 3x5 square? I don't know if they're doing piggyback rides, right? So this thing is overbuilt. This thing is built. So if this fire escape is in good condition, see all these people? This is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. It'll carry that load. Every bolt on the outside of this fire escape is made to carry 150 pounds per square foot. 100 pounds per square foot. What about the connections into the building? Who knows, right? So we're looking for guarantees. So if I got liability, the city's got liability, the tenant's got liability. So the code is very simple. I have to satisfy you with some sort of inspection, critical inspection, or load test it. You were looking for the word guarantee, right? So if I load test it, let me tell you how we all get a guarantee. I load test it, I put weight on it, I don't care if it falls or not, because then I get something fixed, and the guy's gonna pay me anyway, right? So I load test it, and it passes, I have no liability. I load test it, I give you a certificate that says it passes, you have no liability. The owner gets the certificate that says I load tested it and it passed, he has no liability. A week later, a bunch of people get on it, the thing collapses to the ground. Do I have any liability? I load tested it and it passed that day. But a week later it fell. Do I have any liability? I have no liability. I did what the law said. Do you have any liability? A week later it collapses. There's going to be an investigation by then. We did everything possible, right? The law said load tested, I did. You got a document that said it was load tested, you did. The owner got his paper, so those 5 or 10 dead people on the ground, we're going to investigate to see what occurred, but believe me, it had nothing to do with the load test, because it passed that day. So that's a great guarantee for you, right? Now let's take a look at another form of guarantee. If I take a tread, which represents railings connections, and I have 4 bolts in it, and the bolts are 50 to 75 years old, nice and square, or rivets. I can look at it as much as I want, but unless I x-ray or do a load test, can I pass that tread? So I have to load test treads, railings, supports in order to get the guarantee that you're looking for. But if I took a tread and I took out the rivets or the square head bolts and I put in brand new bolts, do I have to load test that tread now? I do. I got brand new bolts in it. Well, if I'm going to load test it, then I don't have to change the bolts. But if I change the bolts, I don't have to load test it anymore because I got I eliminated the concern you had, and that is, that's an old bolt. Well, let me take that old bolt out, put a brand new bolt in. Once you put in a brand new bolt, you don't need to load test it, because the day you put up a brand new fire escape, you don't load test it that day. But as soon as I change out all the bolts on a fire escape, so if I refurbish an entire fire escape, because it is 50 to 75 years old, even though all the connections have no rust on it, to give you the guarantee you're looking for, I can only either load test it, or I can refurbish it. And that means taking out all the old bolts. Am I correct? That's going to eliminate about 97% of all the connections on a fire escape, right? But what about that thing sticking in the building, those piece that's sticking 8 to 12 inches into the building? What do we do about that? I can drill it, I can get exposure from the inside, I can do some destructive testing and go and take pictures of it for you and verify that it's in good condition, right? And on average, that can cost me anywhere from $200 to $400 a piece. I've got 10 connections on a fire escape. That's a lot of destructive testing on the wall, right? Otherwise, the only other option I have is load test it. Is that correct? Either do some of this investigation and prove to you, otherwise you will order a load test on that thing, right? So you're saying, I'm sorry that you have to do this investigative activity, but now that's $200 to $400 per support. The mason involved, opening up some bricks or drilling a hole next to it, putting in a probe to photograph the steel one. How about if I just eliminate all that? And about 5 inches away from every support that stays, and I repack it and it stays good, I put an epoxy bolt 5 inches away, or a new through bolt into the building, a brand new one. And I forget about verifying the old one, I let sleeping dogs lie, and I give you a brand new 3/4 epoxy bolt into that 75 to 100-year-old building. Satisfied now? Give you a brand new connection. Now we're at 200% on every connection into the building. Still want me to load test it? Or have I eliminated the need for a load test by duplicating the connection, the unknown connection into the building? No. The load test is when we're trying to verify an existing connection. But as soon as you have a brand new connection, there's no need for a load test, because every time I put up a brand new fire escape, I never need to load test it. The fact that I put up a brand new one, that new connection is a verifiable connection. It's called a verification of a connection. 97% of your fire escape is outside, and every one of those is verifiable, because as soon as I change out a bolt, it's verifiable. I just change the bolt. So let's go through the bolt process, ready? And because you want a guarantee. I need a guarantee, I need to eliminate liability, you need. So how can I give you a guarantee if I just refurbish this fire escape, which includes 100% of the change of all the bolts, because the fire escape was 50 to 75 years old, and I reconnected it with new epoxy bolts from Hilti into the building at every connection. I do that, I give you a certificate, and I refurbished and retied it back into the building and kept the existing structure.
You know what you went into?
Yeah, we have to.
Well, no, I'm just asking.
Yeah,
I mean,
assuming all that it's a good masonry wall, assuming all those things. A week later, this fire escape pulls off the building. Nobody dies, but the whole fire escape pulls off the building. Or treads shear. Who's got the liability now? Because a brand new bolt sheared. Who's got the liability? Me, the city, or the tenant? There's a brand new bolt sheared on a tread.
You'll have to have documentation on the material that your bolt was
Right.
made of.
Correct. So now you're getting right to it. It says, who's got the liability? The bolt company that sold me some bolt, because bolts don't shear. But if a bolt does shear, a week after we certified it to give you the guaranteed word that you're looking for, everybody's suing the bolt company. Oh, but it also pulled away from the building. Just like in Boston in the tunnel, the guy's driving his wife, brand new wife, to the airport because he's going on his honeymoon, and what fell on his head and killed her? One of those slabs. And what were they held up with? Hilti bolts. What did they sue? The bolt company, the Hilti bolt fastener company. And one of the things that they found, that they were all improperly installed. But, do you understand? You're looking for me to give you guarantees, not just me. Any structural engineer is going to look at any of your fire escapes. You want 2 guarantees. And you're going to constantly say, because you're going to write here's the words you're going to write on all your violations from now on, and I'll explain. Repair, painted, tested. You'll never write a scrape paint violation. You'll never identify a tread or support or anything on a fire escape. You'll always write repair it, paint it, test it. Because you're always going to get people calling you back saying, what's this violation? What do you mean? Well, the word repair means fix it. He goes, fix what? He goes, that's not for me to decide. That's why you need to hire a structural engineer. That structural engineer is going to tell you and me what the plan is going to be to repair your fire escape. Paint it. Well, once it's repaired, and only after it's been repaired will I allow you to paint it. And by the way, the EPA's kicked in now, so all fire escapes that are older than 1978 have what on them? Lead, so everybody who's gonna touch it has to be a licensed renovator, which is an easy thing, but they have to be a licensed renovator to collect all these chips correctly. And then the third one, it says test. What's the word test mean? That word means load test. Unless you satisfied me, because I'm gonna put all the power back in your hand, unless you and your inspector, your structural engineer or your fire escape engineer, has proven to me and given me the guarantee. There's only two ways to give guarantees nowadays. Load test it, because your fire escape is 50 to 75 years old. What if you got a 25-year-old fire escape? You wanna load test it, or you wanna refurbish it if it's only 25 years old? Or you wanna discuss that with the structural engineer? Because you have a couple brand new ones, right? That you don't have to go so, but who needs to be proven? Who needs to be satisfied? You guys. If you guys are not satisfied, you know what you pull out of your pocket all the time? When somebody kind of painted it themselves, it's the work, you know, everybody's playing games with you, what do you pull out? You pull out the load test. Because their inspector, their structural engineer just blew you off, called you crazy, you're like, okay, then there's only two things that will get a guarantee in my city or my town. Load test it, or satisfy me that the refurbishment or the game plan met my satisfaction. When's the last time you let somebody put an entire sprinkler system in a building without ever talking to you? When's the last time anybody put in a central station or put in alarms in the building and never talked to you? Just said, hey, come on down, we're done. We've been at it for a while, and what do you think? But it's done, by the way. It's what do you think, but it's done. Hope you like it, because that's what you get. Well, that's what people have been doing with fire escapes. And here's how they've been getting away with fire escapes. If you paint a fire escape, do you need a permit? No. If you repair a fire escape, you need a permit. You repair anything, you need a permit. Repair a porch, permit. You repair structural, anything that's structural, you need a permit.
I think with repair, you don't, it falls under maintenance.
Maintenance need any kind of permit? You guys have to sort of work that out, because a lot of times, if you are touching a fire escape, it's a life safety issue. If I'm touching a sprinkler system, do I need a permit?
It depends what you're doing.
Exactly. I'm doing a full refurb on a fire escape.
If you do a maintenance on the sprinkler system, you don't need full permit for that.
What kind of maintenance? Overhaul, repair, I'm talking about it's a broken system. I have a broken sprinkler system, do I need a permit to fix it?
Well, it depends on your town.
And
Exactly.
where it is.
I'm trying to say, where I'm trying to push you guys to is that if you have only two choices on the fire escape, load test it or refurbish it, what are you gonna look for? So you can have some assistance and additional eyeballs on it. You want a repair permit or not?
But the reality, the bitter reality is when I get the letter from the structural engineer that says that I have inspected, I've done whatever, and this fire escape is, whatever word he wants to use.
You put that in.
That's
fine.
That's my guarantee, because if anything happens, it's gonna be like, excuse me, right here.
Okay, and if I was to show you that the structural engineers who are great with bridges and are great with buildings, look at fire escapes as the trash can of the industry, 6 times the work, 1/6 the pay. A lot of them do what's called drive-bys, and they'll roll down a window, look out the window, and give that piece of paper to somebody who will give them anywhere from $300 to $500. If I show you a couple of those, and you start losing confidence in these structural engineers. And I've created a confidence test that I'm showing you so that the next time you get, and I'm gonna put your name on top of that confidence test, which is an industry standard confidence test that Seattle copied from me, and now it's online, so you can go to seattle.org and download their Word document, and you can change your name on top of it, we can do it for you. And now this document is no longer, do you accept from a structural engineer, oh, the fire escape is structure style and has been kept painted. Because that is where, you should put that in the library room, which is the bathroom, so that's where that paper belongs. Because when you look at the confidence test, you're gonna start saying, oh my God, there's specific questions in here that most structural engineers don't wanna answer. Have you looked at all the connections? Is there no rust in any of the supports? Have you verified the connections into the wall? And when you read the list, you're like, my God, you throw that letter back, because you just got a certificate that says the fire escape at 1 Main Street is fine. You send him that certificate, you say, refill it out and answer these questions. He goes, I'm not gonna sign that document. Say, why not? Then you don't have a guarantee. So that's what we're here to tell you, is that there's some documentation we're gonna put in your hands that's gonna make everybody do the right thing. Structural engineers now have a document they need to fill out. That's an industry standard confidence test with yes, no questions that will put their liability on the line. We have repair guidelines for vendors who are gonna fix fire escapes that will put liability and responsibility on the line. And we have paint information for you that makes sure that the painters are not, contaminating an apartment full of lead dust and lead chips. So we're here to give you all this information. That's that packet I gave you. We'll go into it a little bit more deeper. Here's what happened in Boston. We had a fire escape, and so on July 22 of 1975, and I believe it's 1973, this happened on Marlborough Street. You remember this? One of the most famous photographs was this. Now, if you look on, if you open up your books and you start looking inside, you can see a nice big poster of that. If you want to use that, you can use that to basically remind you as to, or where do fire escapes basically do their most damage, and the most damage they do, believe it or not, is with people and with firemen. And if you can all pass a card, this is the same photograph on the back. You can use that in your wallet, because every now and then, when somebody's giving you a hard time about a fire escape, you can send them that and say, hey, this is the problem. So you can put the poster in your office. Now this fireman, he survived with one hand. That's the 4th floor Marlborough Street, which is now Millionaire's Road now in Boston. She died, the niece landed on her and survived, okay? And this is what you're concerned about, when all of a sudden fire escapes that are supposed to save lives end up taking a life, okay? Take a look at live load testing. If you're near a college, what are kids doing in these parades? Out of their dorms? Back in the day, when there was no AC, guess how people cooled? Every now and then, you guys got this crazy things happening. You can't get the person out of the building through the main doorway for some reason. And where do you end up getting him? Here you are saving somebody, only to have you and your fellow firefighters and that victim fall through the fire escape. This is a guy fixing a fire escape. One of our guys out of Chicago, his dad fell 7 stories and died fixing a fire escape that just came apart underneath his feet, doing this very same work. And obviously, when all hell breaks loose, guess what you guys need? These are all live load tests. Show you another live load test. Some additional live load testing, right? Dorms, this is typical, right? People are now starting to get on, wedding shots, or starting to get on fire escapes at the banquet hall. College students, non-smoking buildings, where do you smoke? Here's a fire escape. It used to be there. Now it's there. Let me tell you how many people were on it. The guy, there's 3 fire escapes. One I photograph from, the one that was there that fell down, and one over there. See that other one? The guy turned this into a 5-condo unit. Him and his son fixed the roof, lifted up the fire escape, fixed all the shingles, and put everything back. Guess what he had left in his box? Bolts. I don't need those. So one day, one of the condo owners is selling it, and somebody wants to go up and take a look at the roof. So the owner, the owner of the condo, plus his real estate agent, the buyer and his real estate agent, and also another condo trustee was having to be there. 5 people. Started climbing up, and the whole thing fell 1 story. That's a flat roof. So, nobody died. They're all mangled, twisted, broken, and they all reached for their what? And they did what? That's right. And then their attorney called who? Paramedics. And fire department and building department. So this thing ended up in a big, huge lawsuit. The fire escape I was on taking photographs, and the other fire escape was in the state of collapse. There's another live load test with not so great results. This is in Iowa. I'm an expert witness. They're called by a lot of attorneys who basically want me to investigate. So it's like CSI fire escapes. It's a show coming, but we're going to try to do it out of Miami. It's a little more. But basically, 3 kids up here watching 4th of July fireworks. And this is one of those houses that somebody turned into a dorm style, some guy that has tons of money, buys these big old houses and puts 16 kids, and everybody's got a room, kind of one of these things, right? And all of a sudden, he had to do some work right there. So he sends his local guys working, his maintenance crew to go over there. They took the fire escape off, and then they put the fire escape back on after they reshingled this side, and instead of putting the through bolt back that this side had and that side had before, they put in a nice 2-inch lag bolt through a 1/2-inch hole. So it's a 1/2-inch lag bolt through a 1/2-inch hole, and what was it biting on? And it wasn't even biting into a stud, it was biting into the carpet. So when the kids went up there, it was 2 guys and a girl, the thing pulled away, hit the roof, hit the ground, all their blood. What's funny about this, because you're supposed to keep evidence, and this is still a case, ongoing case. She got hurt, she got maimed. The boys just got all scraped up, but she got maimed, but they put it back. But where did they put all the evidence in the piece? How did we find out that this thing was live? They threw this thing into the woods. Into an open field about 8 blocks away. Now there's a lot of people there, fire department, lawyers, owners, everybody that's interested. And then, in all that mess, what did we find? It was a smoking gun. And what was it? The bolt.
Can I, gentlemen?
So the lawyer speaking and basically saying, "My gentlemen, this is an important fact right here." So that my lawyer, so my clients can win. They put it back the next day. They were so worried about it that not only did they through bolt it back into the building, they put a leg on it, the leg right on top of the shingles, and so a steel tube right on top of the shingles. And the stair that came back, this never had legs before, so they put legs right on top of the shingles. And then in that corner, where it ties into that corner, there was supposed to be a lag bolt there to hold it in the corner. The hole is still there, and actually, when we went there again for a re-inspection, we actually lifted it, walked it away, and walked it back. So it was ready to basically pull itself away. So now the re-installation, again, done with no permit. So these are the kind of things, whenever you're touching a live safety system for repair, you want a permit? If it's gonna be a life safety system and it's under repair, meaning there are structural issues with it, and an engineer is involved, do you want a permit so they can have another set of eyes watching it? Because you pull a permit, then the building inspector is now watching, checking the workers' comp liability, checking to make sure that it's done correctly, okay? Another live load test, Boston. This is on the hill, Beacon Hill. Gosh, a pretty penny, just have an apartment up there. So this guy was lucky, because his 5th floor apartment actually went to the 5th floor roof of the building next door, because it's on the hill. And the deck over there was gorgeous. And you're on Beacon Hill, you're paying $3 grand a month anyway for your apartment. You and your girlfriend, 25, 26 years old, you guys have been drinking, you just got home at 2, 3 in the morning, drinking, where do you go to have a nightcap? Neighbor's roof, right? So you go over there, you jump the neighbor's fence on the inside, the wood deck up there, and you hang up there. Nobody, the neighbors don't know. Phone rings though back over here, on your apartment up there. And who wants to answer the phone, you or your girlfriend? She does, because she kind of remembers where it is. So she kind of jumps over, but the rail is missing over here on the fire escape. And boom, dead. Another case that's going on. That's a live load test, missing pieces. And it can also happen to a fireman. He's fighting a fire, doing something, backing up, and he's supposed to have a rail to protect him from, because he has to control the hose and back up into something. Missing pieces of a fire escape, put him where? Boom. Who inspects fire escapes? Believe it or not, structural engineers. I went over that. How much they charge? On average, most structural engineers to look at a fire escape rate, 75 to 175. So if somebody tells you, I can't find anybody, do you guys know structural engineer? Right?
In the yellow pages.
Yeah. So can people give you that as an excuse, I can't find anyone? You say, structural engineer, within 50-mile radius, we'll get somebody. Otherwise, I'll get you somebody that would come down here and look at this. But look in the book, look on the internet. Type in on the internet, on the Google, do a search. Fire escape inspection, Concord, New Hampshire. Fire escape structural engineer, Concord, New Hampshire. Guess what you're gonna get? A list, okay? They also allow architects. In some states, it's structural engineers and architects. So a lot of times what we tell people is, you need to be sent some credentials. Because do you want an architect that's been doing decks all his life in wood, has never touched steel, to now be inspecting fire escapes without having some sort of conversation with you? So, when you deal with sprinkler guys, when you deal with alarm guys, don't they always meet with you? Don't they always come down and sit down with you and give you their credentials and tell you how long they've been in business and stuff like that? Not always, but you get to see it when you go there and look at the job, whether or not they're professional or not. You see professionalism just by whoever is calling you on the phone or whoever's showing up at a site or